Kari Susil. I am with the HR team at Columbus Cylinders. I've been with Worthington about 8 years.
Hi, everybody. It is very bright. Rodney Fields. I'm the Value Stream Manager over the helium tanks that we make at the Columbus plant. Been with the company for 4 years.
Great. Thank you, guys. So I have a few questions, and then we will take questions from the audience if you have them as well. So I will kick it off with Kari. Talk a little bit about, kind of what it is that you've done, and then how you knew that there was a need for the program.
Sure. So really how we determined that we had a need to enhance our current recognition program was through our results in our 2020 employee engagement survey. So based upon the survey results, we saw a huge theme around employee recognition. So we worked with our engagement champions to identify, hey, why is that coming up? And really what we heard is we have tons of different ways to recognize our employees, but there's not one consistent method, and folks weren't doing it consistently across all departments within the facility. So that's when we identified that was going to be one of our action items, to look at our current recognition options and develop one consistent program across the board.
Awesome. How did you start to collaborate with each other on the initiative?
Well, for us, we have the luxury of having a process anytime that we identify a need for something and don't really know the solution to that problem. And it starts with getting a cross-functional team, which you alluded to earlier, a cross-functional team together. That's what we did at Columbus. We got members from operations, members from the leadership team together. We leaned pretty heavily on our employee council since they're kind of the rudder for us in decision making. And then we just follow the process from there, right? We get all of our ideas, get everybody in a room, get all of our ideas out on the table, and start to whittle that down to which ones we feel like are going to solve the problem that we've identified. And then once we did that, we narrowed it down to one or two different solutions, and we went back to that employee council and the members that we had pulled into the conversation. They take that out to the floor and take that out to the people who gave us the feedback in the first place and say, hey, is this going to solve, or is this going to meet the desired end outcome? We made a couple of tweaks there, and ultimately that's what brought us to our recognition program as we know it today.
Our recognition program is called Worthington Stars, and something else we did with that was we needed a name, and we are not the creative ones in the bunch. So we looked at our employees and said, hey, let's do a naming contest. And then we got all those great ideas. There were some pretty crazy ones, but we came to employee council, said, hey, here's the top 5, and they helped us pick the name, which again is Worthington Stars. And then what we did was really looked at kind of all over what were we doing beforehand, and taking those big pieces of, hey, what worked best, and pulling it into that one program. So we came to one recognition program to where every time a recognized behavior or competency is observed by a leader, they are going to get one of these nice little fancy cards here, which you see up on the screen. But really what we wanted to make sure was there was consistency in what was being recognized, and ensure that we were recognizing the behaviors instead of the outcome of the behavior. So it doesn't matter how many tanks we produce today, but rather, hey, what behaviors took place in order for us to meet our goal for the day. So we, of course, took our 5 core competencies. That was part of the program. But then, of course, we had to add safety in there to ensure that we were leading with safety here or at the facility. So with the card, once that behavior is recognized and you receive the card, I'll talk a little bit about that more in depth here in a moment. But it has a nice little scratch off, has some point value. Then you can use that to redeem different Worthington gear or gift cards. Also a paid day off, that has been the most popular. We should have definitely made that more points, because we've had lots of folks utilize that. But really that's what the programs come down to, and it's been a pretty good success. I know Rodney's going to talk to that here in a moment. But when we talk about those competencies, we made sure, one, that we gave, thank you, we made sure, one, that we gave our employees an understanding of, hey, what is a quick little tagline of that competency? So what does that mean to them? But then also ensured that our leaders had a training, so they knew exactly what we meant by the behaviors that we were looking for. That was a bit of a challenge because I think we did have to change our mindset a bit to ensure, again, they were recognized the behavior, not the outcome of that behavior. So we ensured that they had that proper training. So you can see a couple examples up here of emotional intelligence. So, a good example, employee considers others' ideas and communicates their opinions or ideas professionally to the group. I'm sure we've all potentially been in a Kaizen event, and things can get a little heated, right? But making sure that our folks are open to others' ideas, they're listening, they're communicating clearly and effectively, and kind of handling their emotions, even if they're very passionate about it. So that's one time that you would want to make sure that you're recognizing that behavior in the moment. And then when we talk a little bit about how the process works, so if we want to go to the next one, sorry. So how the process works is a behavior is identified by any one of our leaders, and that could be somebody who's not your leader. So it could be our maintenance manager, it could be HR observes the behavior. Whoever observes that behavior in a leadership perspective will enter in that dispatch into L2L, or leading to lean. Not sure if that's familiar for some of you here, but essentially they put in that dispatch and it goes directly to the leadership team. So what's really cool about this is it also provides visibility to the leader of that person. So we're not out on the shop floor 24/7, so those people who are that observe those behaviors have the ability to show, hey, manager, like Rodney, this is what your employee did today and it was awesome. So it's going to go to the manager itself, and then from there, he's actually going to be the one that takes the card directly to the employee and says, hey, heard you did this today, awesome job, and just, again, reiterates, great job, you did the right behavior, here's what you did, type of thing. So again, it added some visibility to our leadership team, added consistency to the behaviors that we were recognizing, and again, it provided us one way to recognize so that, one group didn't feel under-recognized to the other.
So what can I get for 100 points? Because I got 100.
You got 100?
Mm-hmm. And I
I'll see what I can
laminated
get you.
it so I could use it again.
Good call.
I'm just kidding. So these are great. These are so awesome. And we did laminate them because I knew that they are actually pretty expensive, so I would not break them. So talk to me about how it's been received, what are the results? What have you witnessed? Give us a little idea, Rodney, about that.
Truly, the program's been received very well, as you can expect, right? We sought a lot of input from the folks that gave us the feedback that this was a need to develop the program. And at the end of the day, who doesn't like to be told thank you for exhibiting desired behaviors, and who doesn't like, as a leader, the opportunity to go out and say, hey, thank you, somebody witnessed you working in a way or behaving in a way that we've identified as impactful and successful to the business. Thank you for that. We recognize this publicly at our pre-shift meetings as well, so all of these recognitions go out and broadcast to the team, so you're able to highlight those behaviors at pre-shift in front of the whole group. You get to highlight the individual, but not only the individual, the behavior. So it also spreads like wildfire amongst the team, what types of behaviors we as an organization are looking for, and what types of behaviors get you up on the map, right? So from that standpoint, it's been very well received. I can speak personally for the Columbus facility and my team through this process and through the development of it and through the evolution of our recognition program and highlighting and identifying those behaviors. We're seeing more teamwork than ever. We're seeing a greater customer focus, all the stuff that we've identified as key behaviors that we want to see more of. We're seeing all of those more so than we ever did before. And maybe it's because we're now looking for those more closely, but I also believe it's because we're much clearer through the recognition program with what we're looking for. As far as the Helium team's concerned, pretty proud to say that a couple of months ago we celebrated the best month that we've had. We more than doubled our safety contribution, so our safety improvements, we call those Safety Blue Days. Same with quality. We have the quality blue days. We doubled those, and we set a record for our per day average as far as production goes. And within that month, we recognized at a pretty high level the teamwork that went into it. Wasn't all easy. We definitely faced adversity, and through that we highlighted the teamwork and the focus on safety and the focus on the things that help us achieve those results.
Have you guys noticed since implementing this how the engagement has improved, morale, anything like that?
Yeah, I definitely think that we've seen engagement improve. I think there's been a lot of, when it's, hey, my manager doesn't recognize me, we have visibility to that now. And I think it is being done more consistently so that, hey, I'm not being treated fairly, or they like me better than me, that manager doesn't like me, whatever the case is, we're hearing less of that. So I think that's really cool to see. The other piece, you're probably wondering, what are all these stats up here? But we just closed out our final month in the program to get us through a full year. So you can see these are the different areas that were recognized throughout the month. And you can see teamwork, of course, is the highest one on there, which, again, is a great thing to see. But it also shows us that we have an opportunity to focus on, emotional intelligence, transformation, some of those that are smaller on the list throughout the months of, hey, how can we have those behaviors driven more often throughout the year?
That's great. And you probably before wouldn't have had any idea of where to start.
Yeah, absolutely. We had zero visibility to why people were being recognized, how often, how much we were spending on recognition overall. So now it's just kind of all in one place, which is cool.
That's great.
And I think to piggyback off of some of the stuff that we brought up earlier, so as much as this is a recognition program and it allows us to highlight and say thank you when we're seeing those desired behaviors, it really provides such a beneficial format for leaders and everybody on my team to identify coaching opportunities. So when we're seeing behaviors that we don't believe are going to do what we want them to and we don't believe are going to add to the success of our organization, it allows us to coach and it provides us a format of somewhere to coach to. Right? So you see a behavior, you're able to point them in a direction and say, hey, that's not necessarily going to get us what we were looking for, but here's what will. So it's been tremendously beneficial from the coaching side of things as well.
And have you guys been able to use the books in order to use some of the language just so, give talking points? Because I know we hear a lot of managers or even, team leads that are really struggling with the language and what they're like, I know that it's off in communications, or I know something about their behavior is wrong, but I'm not quite sure how to address it. Has that helped at all, or?
Yeah, I definitely think it's something that we can get down to that first line leader, our team leads, get them a bit more familiar. This was kind of our toe in the water with them. Hey, let's just get familiar with the competencies themselves. What are they? I do think that's our next step. I know we are utilizing those in every interview process, which I think has definitely helped.
I love that. Do we have any questions from the audience? Chuck Woolery over here has the mic, so.
I'm waiting. 2 and 2.
Over here. Oh.
Just curious, since it seems like it's being successful, do you guys, as a Worthington organization, do you plan on rolling it out in other parts of the business?
I'll try to answer that.
I have no idea.
What I would say is I think we're highlighting it as one of the first initiatives into using our competencies and pushing these out and recognizing the behaviors that we are wanting to see across the organization. I don't know that this particular one, I'm sure that if others, I know we've done that elsewhere, that if one facility says, hey, this is great, or a function does, but it doesn't always work in every single one. It's not like we can just duplicate it because everybody has either different issues or they have different recognition programs. This is probably one of many that will pop up, and I'm sure that we will see more and more, but if you need the playbook, these are your folks. So that's a good question. But it has been highlighted, right? It's been highlighted in QBRs. It's kind of been on blast for a while in your VU, which is awesome. So hopefully, yes.
So when it was first implemented, did it live in L2L right away, or was it something that eventually made its way to L2L with the dispatches and stuff like that? Because being at Westerville, it's easier for us to learn from what Columbus is already doing in L2L, and some of the things that you guys are doing, we're just implementing, and we're just kind of, it's easier for us once you go through it first.
What is L2L? What is that?
Yes, so L2L, which is leading to lean for those who aren't sure. We went straight to that. Really how we got there is we wanted a way to be able to track it, and that was kind of our solution in the moment. So Cheryl Young, who was our transformation manager, was really a huge piece of getting that in there. We did also report out at the L2L or Smart Factory Summit a couple of weeks ago, and I know it had a lot of interest from some of the other facilities.
Well, thank you both. We can give them both a hand. Thank you so much.